hardcore domination.
Still kind of weird.
EMP grenade going out.
Net call. Napalm strike inbound. Hostile UAV established above.
Games nowadays suck. All it is a constant disappointment, multiplayer live services, and microtransactions just shoved down our throats. And as much as people say that gaming is dying, I have to disagree with everyone. Gaming is alive and well. We're just all focusing too hard on the negative. That's why I'm doing the ultimate detox that any online gamer dad could go through. For an entire month, I'll be playing single player games only. And here's why. Like most gamers my age, I have a massive backlog. 83 on just Nintendo consoles alone. Steam is currently sitting at 21. That's about 104 games that I need to play. But in the 2 years that I've had my custom built computer, I put 169.8 hours into Battlefield 6 and over 1,011.4 hours in Call of Duty. I will give myself credit though. It was over the span of Modern Warfare 3 and Black Ops 6, so that's 500 per game. In comparison, my highest played game on the Switch for 7 years that I've had it, so this is the 7 years from the first Nintendo Switch all the way till now, is Pokemon Shield with 270 hours. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate coming in at 245, and my favorite current Pokemon game, Pokemon Violet, at 100 hours. Those 3 games barely make up half of the time that I spent on Call of Duty, which is embarrassing to say since I'm not an esports player or a streamer. Like kids my age, I grew up on playing Call of Duty, Halo, Battlefield. I grew up knowing that the kids at school would talk to me about their KDs or the crazy things that happened during games because we were broke high school kids that had nothing to do and nothing to show for it. But despite all this, I knew that at my age, that everyone was really into Modern Warfare, into Black Ops, into Halo 3. That was who we are. And the crazy thing is that we knew that we were in that golden age of multiplayer. Games weren't online. Multiplayer was created equally from the single player games. Map packs came out after the game had already been out. And it didn't feel like it was just a shoo-in. It felt like these maps were supposed to be there and that they wanted to be there after launch of the game. And it felt like developers were making these games almost like a love letter to the games themselves, even though they've already been out and they haven't made that fandom. A great example is all the Halo 3 multiplayer maps. I think there was probably about 4 or 5 maps that were, I'm sorry, not maps, but map packs that were just completely different from what the game was set in. But it felt like that game was supposed to be there. Like it was meant to be there in the game. And now all we have are map packs that come out or maps that come out every other season. So every 3 months. Maps that don't feel correct. Like they shouldn't even be a part of this game. Yet they are. Microtransactions that are just skins. They're just basically skins. You're paying $20 for a skin that you're going to probably use for 10, maybe 15 matches and then switch over because you end up not using it on that weapon because that weapon is no longer the meta, as people call it. It just doesn't feel like it used to. And also just the fact that we have to restart games every fucking time that there's an update, that why do we have to do that, Call of Duty? You're already 500 gigs. Why do I have to have half of a terabyte of information just for you to launch, just to restart? Because it's not even the shaders that's restarting. It's just the update. Why? And I think that's the reason why Nintendo really has stuck out to me in terms of gaming. Yeah, they do have games that are live service. Yes, they do have games that are, have map packs or like certain extra things, microtransactions you can buy. Most of them, though, don't feel like it's unnecessary bloat. A perfect example of this is Pokemon. Pokemon started doing DLC back in the Sword and Shield era. Back when it was... How can I say it? Pokemon was doing DLC back in Sword and Shield. And their DLC wasn't like shoo-in. It wasn't like a completely different game. It didn't feel like it was something that was like extra that should have been a part of the game from launch. It was a game that had something extra, something that the developer said, hey, this is now something that's completely different, something that we wanted to try out that's completely separate from the base game. You don't need to buy this. You don't have to buy this at all. It's here if you want it. And it was great because it evolved a different experience. It added to the wild area. It added to this section of the map that everyone was really enamored with. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet had the same exact thing. They had a different, bigger area, a wild area kind of, where it wasn't necessarily a game that you needed to buy in order to experience the full game. The full game was Scarlet and Violet. They added in this extra bit. I can't think of another Call of Duty since Call of Duty Ghosts where that was a thing, where these map packs were different. Same thing with Halo 4. I think Halo 4 had a couple map packs, if I'm not mistaken. They had a couple of those where you could buy it, but you didn't necessarily need to buy it to continue to play in the game because there wasn't a lot of people on it. And it's the same thing with Nintendo. I can go and buy a Super Mario game, and if it decides that it wants to upgrade it to a Nintendo Switch 2 where it adds in more and extra stuff to it, I don't need to buy it if I don't want to. And that's the crazy thing, that there's still people out there that are making these games. It's all these single player games that are just better. I don't feel like I'm gonna have to rage at the next person that doesn't decide to revive me on Battlefield because they decided they just want to shoot people. Now, I'm not saying that Nintendo is the best company for this. Like, there's still tons of single player games that are not from Nintendo, that aren't published by them or aren't made in-house from them. I mean, there's plenty of examples out there right now, speaking of just Nintendo, where they're just messing up every fucking time that they get. Literally, it is 10 feet forward, 20 feet back. A great example is the Mario Kart World being $80 fucking dollars. Having all these different little nuances for their different video games, pricing different games differently. I mean, the fact that Splatoon Raiders is $50 compared to Mario Kart World, which is like $80, but they almost feel like the same amount of gameplay and stuff in them, is a really weird take, and it shouldn't be happening. But here we are in this environment of everything is so different nowadays that even the hobby of playing a game has me questioning whether I want to be doing single player games or even wanting to be around gaming in general. Now, the reason why I've felt like I needed to go from multiplayer to single player is obviously because of what I had been doing before this, which is spending almost 1,000 hours on Call of Duty. That's an insane amount of hours on there. Insane amount. And it's just constant. I feel like I'm stuck in a world of I need to be playing this game because this is the only thing that gives me any sort of dopamine rush. And the biggest thing for me is not the dopamine. At the end of the day, it's okay if I play a single player game. I think my problem is being focused on that. I'm so used to being able to play Call of Duty and do something else, have my TV going, have something else going in the background while I do this, because it's just a quick multiplayer match. The problem is that quick multiplayer match pisses me off more than anything in the world. And that's why I feel like in this month challenge that I'm putting out, that I'm going to be talking about more, and that I really want to show more gameplay footage of, and I'm planning on that. That's why this video is mostly going to be more of a multiplayer background with a little bit of single player. Is I want to be able to show myself that I can get through this backlog. I have 104 games that I have to get through. A lot of games. And that's not just Nintendo. I'm talking, this is Xbox, Steam. I have some of my 3DS that I have to get through, which I also have to get through because of Pokemon Bank shutting down. Thanks, Nintendo. Hopefully you guys put the other games like Pokemon Emerald and Sapphire and Ruby on there, because I don't have those games, but there's no way for me to transfer those good Pokemon that I got from Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire in February of next year and transfer them up to my games, because you're taking away that service. But it's stuff like that where I feel like I've gotten stuck playing multiplayer games because it's easy to play. You just boot it up and it's just a throwaway. You're throwing stuff at the wall to see if it sticks. And I think that going to a different game and saying, I have these goals, I want to finish the story, I want to go through certain things, this is fun, I think it's going to be really hard for me to do because I know that my attention span's not going to be there, but I feel like it's going to be a worthwhile experience to be able to say that I finished a game that everyone has been talking about, that has previously spoken about, and is amazing to play. Now, as for the rest of this month, I plan on making a video of what this month has entailed. I'm doing this from a little fourth wall breaking. I'm doing this from the 18th all the way through to September 18th. And from that time to that time, I'm going to be making a video of my experience playing these single player games and attempting to finish some of these to see where I fall into that mark of, is this a good game? Is this not a good game? What have I experienced since then? Have I been able to remove that dopamine rush? Have I been able to figure out a way to make myself more immersed in these games so that I can actually enjoy it? So it'll be interesting to see how that goes, and I hope to keep you guys updated and see, maybe later on we can play these games and maybe turn it into a let's play, or we'll just take it year by year It'll just be a gaming journal of that. And who knows, maybe I'll start streaming it. I think streaming it would be a good choice because I would be able to show you my journey rather than just taking pre-rendered stuff and like putting it all together and splicing it. So we'll see how that goes. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe, comment, and I hope to see you on the next one.